Media House Express, home of news and entertainment.
Media House Express, home of news and entertainment, kaagapay sa paghahatid ng mga pangkasalukuyang kaganapan at pagsaserbisyo sa taong bayan.
Media House Express, home of news and entertainment.
Media House Express, home of news and entertainment, kaagapay sa paghahatid ng mga pangkasalukuyang kaganapan at pagsaserbisyo sa taong bayan.
Media House Express, home of news and entertainment.
Media House Express, home of news and entertainment, kaagapay sa paghahatid ng mga pangkasalukuyang kaganapan at pagsaserbisyo sa taong bayan.
Media House Express, home of news and entertainment.
Media House Express, home of news and entertainment, kaagapay sa paghahatid ng mga pangkasalukuyang kaganapan at pagsaserbisyo sa taong bayan.
Media House Express, home of news and entertainment.
Media House Express, home of news and entertainment, kaagapay sa paghahatid ng mga pangkasalukuyang kaganapan at pagsaserbisyo sa taong bayan.
Media House Express, home of news and entertainment.
Media House Express, home of news and entertainment, kaagapay sa paghahatid ng mga pangkasalukuyang kaganapan at pagsaserbisyo sa taong bayan.
Media House Express, home of news and entertainment.
Media House Express, home of news and entertainment, kaagapay sa paghahatid ng mga pangkasalukuyang kaganapan at pagsaserbisyo sa taong bayan.
Media House Express, home of news and entertainment.
Media House Express, home of news and entertainment, kaagapay sa paghahatid ng mga pangkasalukuyang kaganapan at pagsaserbisyo sa taong bayan.
Media House Express, home of news and entertainment.
Ang programang Future Energy, maghahatid ng mga kaganapan sa mundo ng siyensya at teknolohiya. Si kasamang Engineer and Dr. BERT Hashimoto, author, proponent of the Ethereum book and Benham Rice, Liquefied Natural Gas Project of the Country, the solution to the climate change or global warming.
Good morning. Magandang umaga po sa atin lahat. I'm Engineer Bertito Delamundo HASHIMOTO. My partner is Colonel Willie Evans.
Good morning.
Okay, speak please, Willie.
Oh, okay.
This
I
we are
guess
live.
Our topic today is Philippine Rise. Previously, prior to Philippine Rise, it was Benham Rise. Okay, so back in 1933. It's okay.
Yeah, go.
Back in
This one, this is
1933.
Philippine Rise, yeah.
Back in 1933, Admiral Elliott Kennedy Benham discovered the Philippine Rise. Well, actually, at that time, Benham Rise, and was named after him because he discovered such. But at that time, the West Philippine Sea did not belong to the Philippines. So Admiral Benham called it the Ring of Fire because of the natural minerals out there as far as LNG, copper, magnesium that's in the water. So it's been proven that in the Philippine Rise, the LNG, liquefied natural gas, has been discovered, number one. It is a fossil fuel for energy. It's 80%, 80 to 86% methane, which the burn off is the natural gas. In other words, it looks like water, it tastes like water, but it burns. Now, what did this mean? In 2012, April 12, 2012, the United Nations awarded the West Philippine Sea to the Philippine country. So therefore, it became still Benham Rise, but the Philippines owned the claim of Benham Rise, which through President BERT renamed it in 2019 to be the Philippine Rise. So now it's the Philippine Rise in the Philippines. It belongs constitutionally to the Philippine government. Now, when you say LNG, what is the difference between LNG and crude oil? Crude oil, the process of refinement of crude oil produces diesel, fuels, and such more. But there's exchange with crude oil because when it burns, the smoke, smog exchange of the burn-off refined is released into the atmosphere, and it destroys the ozone layer of the world, of the earth. Now, when you're dealing with LNG, the burn-off of LNG when it's refined is water. So you capture the natural gas and you release the water, which has zero effect when it comes to climate change. Now, what does this mean? If we look at Malaysia, which is a strong country, and crude oil, Malaysia now, the Malayan Bay, is becoming, shall I say, somewhat low when it comes to producing crude oil. So to keep up their production, the Petronas has purchased 36% of Rosneft in Russia to keep up with the production. But by 2029, the United Nations will pose sanctions against countries for harming the environment through crude oil, through coal, and such more. Now, what does this mean to the Filipino? One is the LNG that's in the Philippine Rise. It's off the coast of Aurora, Isabela, so it's in the water. It's around 30 million hectares to 45 million hectares in size. So that's a massive reserve of LNG that's untapped, ready to explore, one, define its limitations, two, production, three, distribution and sales. Now, again, what does this mean to the Filipino? To the Filipino, it means one thing, reduced in fuel. So if you look at the majority of cars, you look at majority of motorcycles in the Philippines, your cost per liter would be at a much lower cost, almost at half the price. So that's the exchange of what crude oil and its byproducts of fuel and LNG and its product of fuel will be at half price to the Filipino, which is a capture of savings to the normal consumer. Now, again, we reach out to the 13 million to 45 million hectares of LNG reserve. With that requires an extraction process, not a drilling. It's still defined in mining, but it's an extraction process, basically to suck the water, extract the water from up to 3 kilometers deep to 5 kilometers deep, extract the water, which is the LNG, into a process for refinement. Initially, you'll need, that we have calculated, 3 extraction rigs. And in the extraction rig, they will extract the water. That water then go into a refinement process that's land-based. And when it's processed land-based, then at that point, it's for production and sales. So with that, you'll have a upstream, downstream, and middle stream extraction rigs that is pumping this water to the refinement station that is on land. So we're talking the next benefit to Filipino people would be the employment process. The employment process will basically take up about 250 to 300,000 jobs to do this, because you're talking about 80 million barrels a day that you're going to be extracting, refining, processing, distribution, and sales. So you're talking a 24-hour day, 7-day-a-week shift. So you're talking, if you're talking 80 million barrels a day times 3 extraction rigs, you can actually calculate that's massive. So it takes quite a few people. Now, if you look at the number of overseas foreign workers, therefore the foreign workers do not have to go overseas anymore for employment. When you have a employment process of 250,000 or 300,000 jobs, they can stay right here in the Philippines or work. So that's another benefit. One, a cost savings to the consumer, employment for the Filipino, right? Now, what we haven't talked about is the third process, which in the Philippines, you have a lot of coal-field power plants, you have diesel plants, you have electrification plants. This LNG can mechanize those processing plants now without burning fossil fuels into the environment. So that's your third way of benefiting the Philippines and the Philippine people. Okay, that is basically Philippine Rise in a nutshell.
You can
Legislation,
explain what the benefit of common people
the
when
common,
they stop
when you say,
going to Purianan as OFW.
yeah, when
It is
you,
better to work here or there?
it's
Same
better to
place.
work here because what happens is we can offer jobs that is comparable to the overseas worker to be at the same value or more per worker. So therefore, why leave your family and go overseas to other jobs when you can have a job right here supporting your family?
Well, how much we can offer per worker here to stay here in Philippines? $1,000, $2,000 maximum. It's $5,000 a month.
Yes,
They
you
can
can.
enjoy life here, right?
Oh, yes, by all means you can. So therefore, the number of overseas workers will reduce. Will reduce the amount of people that have to go overseas for employment.
Yeah. Well, if you have $5,000 receiving in Philippines as common people working, are you going to foreign land to
No.
get a job? I think it is not necessary.
It's not necessary. It's not competitive anymore.
Yeah.
So therefore, you'll seek employment in the Philippines, stay in the Philippines. Therefore, you don't have to leave your family, because sometimes when you leave your family for an extended amount of time, sometimes there's complications. So therefore, the father or the mother now is in the Philippines with the family, earning, producing for the family, and the social, shall I say, the social uplift to the family increases. Therefore, it makes the family more, shall I say, economical to stay here.
Yeah, it's much better to stay here.
Stay here,
You
much
can
better.
receive much more than you receive in abroad, like in Middle East.
Well, the common domestic worker probably makes around 15 to 20,000 more overseas, and the professional worker probably makes around 40 to 50,000 more than the professional worker here in the Philippines.
Well, when we started, I think it's better offered at least $1,500
Yes,
because this is, this job is extraordinary than others. So if you are receiving $1,500, are you going to Middle East?
no,
I think
no.
it's not.
You will stay here.
Yeah, with your family.
You'll stay here with your family, and not only that, again, the cost for transportation, fuel-wise, is at a lower cost. Now that's a savings. The amount made for employment is more than you can get at a foreign job in a foreign country. Another attribute to allow the employee to stay in the Philippines. Why go abroad?
Yeah. I grew in Japan. I stay for more than 20 years there. In Japanese style, you receive 13 months and other is 14 months salary. I mean, it's bonuses. the good workers will become bigger bonuses, right? To enjoy
Yes.
enjoy the vacation. In Japan, there is 2 times vacation every year. There is in spring and in autumn. So every vacation there is a vacation bonus to the company. We can put the same because as a management, I will do the same. So I want to enjoy my people, my the same company workers. No high, no low, almost the same. So they can enjoy the beautiful lives while working hard for betterment of our family and future, right?
To include too, about 85% of your OFWs are domesticized jobs, meaning it don't require
Yeah,
a college
laborer
education.
means,
Still, they're
yeah.
more laborers. Therefore, working in a refinement process such as LNG,
Yeah.
there are more common jobs than professional jobs. So therefore, you can compensate for a number of those employees to stay home. So it's not something special that you have to be a high-level engineer just to get a job. We're talking you're talking 250,000 to 300,000 jobs. 85% of those are domesticized type jobs, blue-collar type jobs, which is very honorable for providing that type of employment here in the Philippines through a natural resource such as Philippine rice for LNG. It's like God giving, and now it's time to reap the benefits of the harvest. Of something.
Approximate how much the government will receive or sales for the international market. Let's say we can produce 180 million barrels a day. So approximates how much it costs and how much the benefits.
Well, the LNG, what makes the Philippines different when you're producing LNG than other countries like Qatar, Russia, Canada, the logistics process is far, so the cost per liter is more. But for the Philippine government, because the waters belong to the Philippine government, and our investment and company that will manage this with the oversight of the Philippine government will receive 25% of proceeds from sales. So therefore, that's another benefit back to the Philippine government for more projects for the Filipino.
Well, the audience was maybe they're asking, what is our benefits? How do we progress our country? Maybe as you are a businessman, it's only for yours, so you can explain it. What is the future of the Philippines when we extract this?
Well, the future of the Philippines, one, is you become a global power when it
Yes.
comes to a natural resource such as LNG. So a global power gives you, one, a domestic market in the Philippines, and it gives you an international market for countries abroad. How this works in Asia would be when a large amount of LNG comes out of some parts of Korea, which is small, but Qatar is a very large country that has LNG, and Canada is another country that has LNG that facilitates about 60 to 70% of the LNG that Asia is using for imports. The Philippines is sitting right in the middle of Asia. So
Yes.
with the logistics itself, with LNG to Asian markets, will be at a cheaper rate. So the average rate is around $7 to $8 per liter, and the Philippines can reduce that by $1.50 to $2 per liter because the logistics and the maritime insurance needed to ship this product is at a cheaper amount because it's less distance, basically. But the Philippine government will receive, of course, negotiable, 25% of the retail of LNG. Therefore, that goes back into projects in the Philippines to benefit the Philippine people as projects the government see forth that the Philippines need. Number two, a benefit for the consumer that's using LNG at a cheaper rate. And three, the most important is it's harmless to the environment. So you're helping the environment, but not harming it through fossil fuels, such as coal, such as fuel.
The common question is, what the individually peoples in the Philippines, especially the young ones, what is our future for this? Do we will benefits individually or the country only or the place only?
Well, the country, the person, the people will benefit itself because one, you can offer jobs. And the younger guys coming up and women that's coming up that's graduating from college, graduating from high school, there is a labor pool for them. Okay, number one. That is very important to the common person sitting at the TV watching this or discovering this on the internet or YouTube. The most common thing is job availability.
Well, as now the decision is graduating, now is June, July, all the high school, junior high school, senior high school, or grade 10, grade 12, they are now graduating for their high school life. Now they are going to college. Now, what is the best advices to the young ones? Because in common, because everything is dreaming to become rich and receive big salary. What is the best advice you can offer to give to them, the young ones that going to college? What is course the best to meet these jobs? We will offer job to them, right?
Yes.
So what is the best
I
offer?
think the best job, the best thing is, again, with a labor pool of 250 to 300,000 people, the competitive market will then look at accounting. They'll be looking at management. They'll be looking at engineering. They'll be looking at
First, management.
performance.
Second, engineering. What
Second,
kind of engineering?
Engineering would be one, construction engineering, maintenance, mechanical engineering, okay, industrial engineering for safety, of course, production engineering as far as control of the extraction rigs, and more, the common jobs that's on a rig, which holds around 600 to 700 people that's working in shifts of probably 1 week on, 1 week off. Those jobs out there require special, shall I say, safety personnel. They require the difference there between an office environment of cleaning would be the OSHA standards that you have to adhere to because, of course, you're looking at the deep sea. So those type of jobs will make them a better professional. Those jobs will secure their future.
Yeah.
And secure their
I mean,
families.
industrial engineer, sanitary engineer,
Yeah.
mechanical engineer. And there is no oil engineer in Philippines.
Yeah.
That's it.
It don't require any oil engineers, but
Sanitary.
sanitation, yes. You need sanitation
And
engineering.
industrial.
Engineering, mechanical engineering, because there's moving parts. Every extraction rig will have moving parts. So
Do you think how much the new comer, how much your offered as salary for this graduate in engineering?
for engineering specific, they can probably make anywhere between $100,000 to $150,000 a month.
$3,000. Wow,
Yes.
that's nice.
Yes.
Well, nobody will go in abroad or left the Philippines for the same job, so we'll offer here.
Yeah, and that's what makes it competitive between the people who want to
Yeah.
get out there and seek those type of jobs.
Okay. When you offer this project, you are the hiring official, so you are the one who make interview. What you can offer is $3,000, at least $3,000. Okay, that's very nice.
And in addition to that is train, safety. Because you can work in a potential hazardous environment when you're dealing with the ocean and the seaboard.
Well, the trainer is different jobs because almost they are din in the college. We can hire them as salary they cannot refuse. So if we have military trainer, search and rescue trainer, or electrical trainer or pipeline. Pipeline is sanitary. Pipeline trainer. So we need all that soon. But we can, what is the benefits then? Because pre-board and nudging, pre-accommodation, pre-transportation.
Yes. The transportation, of course, is on the seaboard, sea area, so transportation to and from will be free. Setting up dormitories at the shoreline for the people, especially single people, people with 1 to 2 kids, and those type of dormitory environments would be okay. That could be provided free, to include subsidized meals too. Can be provided for the employee as a benefit.
Okay. So it picks their salary, bonuses, and we can provide their boarding in mansion or condominium.
Yes, can do.
And the kids, they are from elementary to college. We also provide what they call that,
Schools.
scholarship. Mean to say, I'm scholarship, right?
Yes, and with the number of employees, we would have to put up clinics, so therefore there's jobs for nursing.
Yeah.
There's jobs for doctors, because with a labor pool of 250,000, 300,000 people, you have to have a hospital, okay, for just contingencies, for just general medicine, to facilitate all the employees. So one is schools too. Training sessions that's got to go on, because the basic engineer that's a mechanical engineer on land is different than a mechanical engineer on the sea. Their jobs will be slightly different. So they will go through a training process too. So trainers, again, to reiterate what you said, we need the engineers. We will need different disciplines in engineering, different disciplines in sanitation, transportation.
You can say that, you can read. In which particular parts of the Philippines are you going to extract in the said resources? Okay, you can answer that, Willie.
Okay,
Easily.
in the West Philippine Sea.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's opposite. East.
East Philippine Sea, I'm sorry.
East, north.
East Philippine Sea, off the coastline of Aurora Isabella. It's in the water of the East Philippine Sea. So therefore, it's 13 million to 45 million hectares of water that can be extracted for LNG at its most potent part. Actually, there is other areas of LNG, but at a lower purity rate. But the highest purity rate is right around 30 to 40 million hectares. That's off the coastline of Aurora Isabella. So you're in the water with your mining and extraction rigs.
No, the place is 13 million ton as the world international water. That's Philippines has a right to extract. It's
Yes.
owned by the Philippines.
It's owned by the
30 million ton.
Philippines.
But when you do project, what we have to do is we will have a contract for, I think it's 5 million to 7 million hectares for that.
Initially.
Yeah, because it's 30 million is too big. We will not find over that place.
No, it's too big. Yeah.
So we will contract to the government service contract for 5 million, and that's a billion peso.
That's
You paid
billions.
it. That's a big investment.
Yes.
When you reach it, extract it, that's why we can another contract for 2 million, 3 million.
Yeah.
The
And
first thing is, I think is 5 million is enough. Okay, and in part of Isabela, because there's very wide. It's from Batanes, Cagayan Valley, Isabela, Aurora, and Quezon. That's very long. It's
Yeah.
1,400 kilometers wide, long, and almost 700 kilometer
Yeah.
wide.
If you think about the size of Benham Rise totally, it's about the size of Luzon in the water.
Yeah, it's maybe more.
Maybe a little bit more.
Yeah. Because it's water.
It's
Because
water.
from shoreline until the rest place from Saipan or Guam, but it's very wide.
That's very wide. And that determines where you put your extraction rigs. too.
Yeah.
Where
we
you
will
put your
put
structure.
oil rig over there. So we'll fix. We need a professional. There's a lot of people, Filipino people working in Middle East as engineering jobs in oil extraction. So few days ago, I met the engineering they are controlling also in Africa, in Siberia. They are putting pipeline over there. In Niger also, because the common people there is lack of knowledge, lazy.
True.
The Filipino, when they are going to abroad, they are very, wow, strong and generous.
Eager
But
to
when
work.
come back to the Philippines, I think everything is easy. That's why when we offer the same jobs opportunity to them, and salary almost twice they are offered by the foreign company. I think it's better to stay here in Philippines
Yes.
than going to other place. Very part to your family. Sometimes, because I am also OFW for long years, it's hard to maintain relationship to the family,
It is.
right?
Especially during significant events or family medical things happen when you're abroad. It just puts more stress on the person.
Yeah. No, there are a lot of family collapse because
Yes.
temptation is there always, and the kids sometimes also they tempted to become drug user, or a drunker, and sometimes become lazy. He doesn't go to school. But if you stay here in Philippines, the same as included your family, you can maintain your family relation. You loves to your family, your kids. So it is better offer to the Filipino family. Stay here, just help us to improve this project. Because this bring wealth to the Filipino
Yes,
people.
yes.
Bring wealth to the nation. Every Filipino become prosperous,
Yes, it will.
right?
Yes, it will. Plus, the potential risk is much lower when both parents are in a household.
Oh, yeah.
Influence.
Protection of the
Yeah.
kids. When you have kids. A boy or girl is this we can, because you can share your loved one and protect this anytime, because when you are far away to your family, almost it's collapse.
You can't do nothing.
Yeah.
You gotta put everything on one parent.
Especially when the emergency comes. Listen.
And when they're here, offered employment here, they're just a cell phone call away to go home.
There is a question over there. How long it takes? Just please read it. How long will be take to conduct the extraction, and how many people shall compose the workshop, and how long the Filipinos will enjoy the benefits of subject projects and extraction?
Well, how long will it
It's,
take to conduct?
it's three questions. Just answer it properly.
Yeah. First, how long will it take to conduct the extraction? First, we have certain areas in the Middle Eastern area that we have mining rigs. The first thing we have to do is get the mining rig here in the Philippines logistically, and we would have to modify the mining rig to an extraction and pumping rig. So that is right around a 4-year process of setting that up to extract, like we say, about 80 million barrels a day. Now, the workforce for LNG is right around 250 to 300,000 employees, different disciplines, management, skilled labor, unskilled labor, services-oriented people, of course, accommodations, and so on and so forth. So we've approximatized around 250 to 300,000 as a workforce we would need. Now, when you say benefiting the Filipino, oh my God, I would say when you're dealing with 13 million, well, let's say 5 million and up, as far as extraction in an area of that size, I would say around 200 to 250 years you're talking about that benefit for extracting LNG on a daily basis, 80 million barrels a day. So when we define Benham Rise, let's look at the 5 million hectares, okay? That is just an area that's wide. You're talking 7 kilometers deep, okay? Number one. Number two, what's great about the Philippines, monsoon season. When it rains, it repopulates the water. Therefore, it's a constant replenishment, a constant extraction, a constant replenishment. And it's a cycle over and over again annually that's going to happen. So it's like a train that's one choo 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 choo, and it just picks up time and time. So we would say right around 250 to 300 years. Now, with that is the evolution of mankind, how that works, and how LNG will be effective in the future will be determined how man evolve, technology evolves, and the fossil fuel evolves. An example of that is you had a telephone at first that was a fixed feature that's in the house. Now you have a cell phone that's a non-fixed feature. So therefore, the evolution of the cell phone has changed the way we do business. Today in time, if you leave your cell phone at home and you're within a kilometer, you'll go back home and get your cell phone. It's so important to you. But if you leave your home with a fixed phone, well, you'll pick it up when you get home that afternoon. So it's a different way of looking at it. So we have to look at the future too on how it evolves as far as fossil fuels, technologies, but we estimate right around 250 years.
How much billion of dollars they can extract, sell is the market? First, we will sell it by raw materials because we don't have facilities of
Refinement, yeah.
refinery. Well, we will talk the first years of extraction. You do you think approximate how much million of dollars they can receive?
Oh, it's in the billions. If you look at 80 million, you're talking 80 million barrels a day. Okay, a barrel.
How much
a day.
per barrels? Per barrels.
Okay, a barrel is 1,100
No,
liters.
no. That's too expensive. I think
That's
it's
liters.
$100 or $120.
Seven.
Per liter is only 50 pesos, $1.
Yeah.
1 barrel is 162 liter. 1 gallon is 4 liters,
4 liters.
right?
You're talking
So approximates. It's not double digit. Maybe we can, if ever we will sell it, it's $50 as raw
Barrel.
per barrel.
This is raw.
Raw.
Yeah, it's raw. It's raw. It's not refined. So 80 million barrels at $50 a barrel. That's one. That's one. That's one extraction.
$400 million
Yes,
a day.
a day.
My goodness.
A day. So you're in the billions.
Yeah.
And if you look at the O&M process, 30% of your workforce is payment, utilities, etc. And you're talking the Philippine government getting 25% of that daily. Well, it'll be a fixed time for payment.
There is
So
another
you have to look
question.
at
Yeah, look the picture. It is possible that it can cause negative effect to our ecosystem. No.
it. Actually, no.
No negative because this
It's-
is
it's
clean
currently-
energy. Clean
it-
energy.
It's clean energy because the water's there.
Yeah.
And there's no harm to the environment currently
Yeah.
now. All we're gonna do is suck it. When we suck it, it becomes a raw material. That raw material has a burn-off when you use it. The burn-off is the oxygen,
What
which
we
is
call
no harm.
extraction.
Yeah.
Or some extraction is pipeline only. We do not
Pipeline.
drill it. We do not. It's not hard. It's not our job. When we settle the facilities, it's continued for 24 hours,
So-
7 days a week.
Extraction is like if you have a milkshake and you're sucking the milkshake from a cup. Extraction is the same thing, but it has strong pumps.
Yeah.
Okay? The same. So the coral reefs, the endangered sea life species, it's not affected at all. There is filtration systems so that sand does not get into it, so that small fish does not enter into the pumping system. There's a filtration system that bounces off that. So the
Everything
ocean
safe.
bed.
Everything safe.
Ocean
No
bed is
harming to the environmental.
No.
No harm in the what to call that, the ocean.
And there is no chemicals in
No
the
chemicals,
pipe.
no.
In the pipeline for extraction, there is no chemicals. So the suction process of extraction is within the pipe that's sucking the water out of the ocean bed area.
Yeah. No, when we start the project, first, management in the area, when we extract the product, management also in the office and the market. Right?
That's big.
It's very big job.
That's very big. You need
Also,
you need
the accountant, they calculate $1 million, $1 billion. After that, we will send equally to the workers, to the management, and to the country.
Oh, yes. And we can offer discount subsidies to the employees of LNG that's using it.
Well, the market approximate is near country like China, Japan,
Korea.
Korea,
Who?
Taiwan, Hong Kong, because they are importing LNG to Qatar. It takes 40 to 45 days
To get it here from Qatar. That's
to
the
get
main.
them. But if we reach and we will sell our product to them, it's only less than 1 week. They
Yeah.
reach their destination.
Yeah, the key is Qatar owns about 60% of Asia. Okay, so if you're in the Philippines, Qatar now is no longer a competitive market because the Philippines is right in the center of Asia.
Yeah.
So again, logistically, much cheaper.
Yeah, it is profitable if they get it in our place. In China to Philippines, less than 7 days. Japan also the same,
Less than 7
almost 7 days.
But if they want to choose Qatar, that's 45
45
days.
days. No, it's very long drive. It's very long sail.
It's just like if you work next door
Yeah,
and you work 10 kilometers down the road, it's a difference.
it's different.
It's a difference.
Yeah,
It's a difference.
because when you talk business, hauling is business.
Hauling is business.
The profit, you always thinking how much you have, how much you lose.
Yeah.
The
Well,
profit.
anytime you put something on the ocean, it requires maritime insurance.
Yeah.
So if you have to insure for 45 days or 7 days, there's a big difference.
The difference, very big difference. Also, the pair, how
The
much
fare,
later, you can calculate.
Oh, yes. So in other words, to answer the question is, it has no negative effect.
I don't know, no, that's
Oh.
not. Yes,
Only-
there is in other place in Middle East because they lost their market. They come to
They
our
lose the
Philippines.
market because of
They
Philippines.
enjoy almost 50 years. That's why.
Yes.
Now is the time to youth for rest. Now we are.
Yes,
The time is ours. Right.
it's time for the Philippines now. Through the Philippine Rise.
Yeah. Well, a different question. Since the 1980s, the potential vast deuterium of deposit in the deepest part of the Philippine Sea, particularly in Mindanao, as long as the topic in the engineering universities. Yeah, different question.
Okay, different question.
We are now,
Talking deuterium.
yeah. So the deuterium.
Okay, deuterium itself, we go back to the discovery of deuterium. It's by a guy named Harold Urey, who invented the atomic bomb, which is the first basically nuclear weapon that's used in Japan. He discovered the deposits of deuterium in the Philippine Trench at its most potent or purified area. And that is in 1932. Since that, he and his team has visited the Philippines to Malacañang
Several times.
several times, and has put out research papers on deuterium in the Philippines at the Philippine Trench. Actually, the closest landmass is Cerro del Norte out to the Philippine Trench. And the Philippine Trench is considered the third largest depth of water in the world. If you look at the Philippine Trench itself, it's calculated around 52 miles wide, about 10 kilometers deep. 10 kilometers deep is its deepest part, and 868 kilometers miles long. So, in other words, that area of deuterium reaches out to Panama. So it reaches around the world. Now, when you're talking deuterium, it's water too. Heavy water that's currently in the ocean's depth. It's been determined too by scientist Urey that deuterium is in every deepest part of water in the world. But in the Philippine Trench, it's unusual because it's not normal that your seabed is 10 kilometers deep. So at that point, it is the heaviest water, one of the heaviest water out there, and it's been determined that deuterium exists there. Now, it's been topics of engineering in the Philippines. The only drawback in the Philippines is the Philippines don't have the current technology to go down 10 kilometers and extract that deuterium and test it. So, but there is a company in Japan that does exist that can do it, but it's at a cost that we're working on now.
The next question: did the government of the Philippines support the great idea of Benham rice?
Yes, actually, President BERT have had a concessions out and off.
No, really, we've been together, right? Before almost 2010. We are the one who presented it to the Senate.
Yes.
And the Senate there is, what to call that? Angara? Sana Angara.
Senator Angara Jr., when you're dealing with Philippine rice, is Senate Bill 312. Deuterium, when you, former Senator and now President Boom Boom Marcos Jr., he is the one who initiated the Senate bill on the 15th Congress for deuterium of Senate Bill 2593. Okay, so the government is well aware of what's there for the Philippine rice and for deuterium with the Senate bills that were submitted to the Senate through the congressional process of the upper house and lower house. Okay.
Well, the deuterium is not passed in the Senate bill because they are,
It was vetoed.
yeah. But now, it's so hard to make it happen again. But we did our best to
Yeah.
make it. Now, okay, remove the deuterium. So we go to the Benham rice is already passed. Yes. Now what we have to do, we will start it when our panels arrive. We have already contract.
We have a contract already.
But we are waiting now the funds to arrive so we can manage properly.
Yes.
And another question is, if fully tapped harness of the deuterium deposit of the Philippines can even surpass the oil reserve of OPEC,
Yes.
what do you think?
OPEC has already decided that by 2029, the oil reserves will have no more exports. They will not export anymore because the oil reserves now, it's over 200 years, is tapped to the bottom now. So something has to happen now, okay? So therefore, that's why the Philippines, we're presenting and have presented to the Senate Philippine rice through a project feasibility study, Philippine rice for Senator Angara Jr. And that is Senate Bill, and Philippine rice is Senate Bill 312, and deuterium, which is Senate Bill 2593. So we go back to the question, is the government aware? Yes. Yes, we're, because of course to go through your upper and lower house of Congress to get a bill through, that means the government is well aware and well diverse on what's going on through our feasibility study that's been submitted and through public scrutiny of universities, XYZ, who's researching the area, also the interests of China doing illegal explorations in the area. They're interested at this, on how they can, shall I say, infiltrate. But if we looked at the feasibility studies that's been submitted by Dreamscape, the company,
Our company.
our company.
I'm the president. You're the vice president. Yeah.
Right. A lot of notes are out there. A lot of, shall I say, media information is out there on YouTube and stuff. But it doesn't define in depth what our studies do, number one. Number two, our investors on board now with these projects that we'll be consulting with them soon when our mobilization arrive, to include working with the Philippine government on a PPP project that involves the government and the government's royalties from this for the Philippine people. So in other words, yes, the deposits of deuterium and the deposits in the Philippine rice will far surpass the oil reserves of OPEC.
OPEC, they are united country, right? I think it's 12 or 15 countries. Now, they are losing their reserves. They are wanting, searching, what is the next?
They're wanting searching because they're looking at LNG, because right now the second most used fossil fuel worldwide is LNG.
Well, the biggest deposit of LNG soon to be realized that Philippines.
Philippines, and we have satellite imagery to determine that.
Yeah. Russia, yes, now is the biggest producing because they're directing to the European country. But there is a war over there. Now
Yeah.
they are very afraid of losing their market.
Yeah,
It's not starting yet.
this is an untapped reserve.
Yeah.
So once we tap this reserve, the entire world will know
We can provide for
we can provide.
for the entire world.
You're talking the evolution of cars. You're talking water, so the combustion engine will be reduced by 2/3 with just LNG and deuterium.
Yeah.
Number one. We look at deuterium deposits. One liter of deuterium is equal to 40 liters of diesel. So in other words, it may cost you a couple pesos to fill your tank up, but it'll last for 6 months.
The deuterium is using for vehicles, power plant. Also, they can use in human consumption as medicine.
Medicine, cosmetics, yes, because it's water. Again,
It
both-
is pure
this
water.
This is pure water.
Heavy
This is
water, but it's not color white, it's color violet.
Yes. And it's not hazardous. In other words, in any reactor process, you have protons, neutrons, and electrons.
In
this
medical
process-
technology, when we use as our daily, what to call that, medicine, our 50 years age will become double, become 80, 100.
It's been determined in Japan that deuterium, it increases elasticity in your skin. So in
Yeah.
other words, the old becomes,
Not only
it's almost
face, whole
your
body,
face, your body.
become press
Yes.
as 25 years old. Even you are 90 years old, become press. Look,
True.
Madam Imelda Marcos is 85, 86. Next
She is.
July 2 is 86. Become fat. But their figure is only 40, 45 years old.
Yes.
No. When we reach the lives of the people, you can reach 150 if you drink deuterium
Oh, yes.
as a medicine, as daily, what they call that, maintenance.
Yeah. And they're using it in makeup too.
Yes.
Makeup, they're using it in hospitals and medicine.
If your scars is like sometimes
It heals.
the vehicle accident, their bone broke, the scars is too long. Oh, in a week, every scars it will gone.
It's multi-usage because hydrogen also is used on space programs.
Yeah.
If, just to give you simple terms, the Earth would not exist and space would not exist if it wasn't for hydrogen.
Okay. Well, it can explain the benefits when this project was implemented. It's $1 trillion come to the Philippines. How can you
True.
manage to maintain and how can you manage to dividend to the people? How much per head and how much? Because everybody wanting to become rich and fame, right?
Yeah.
We already fame. the country will become
Yes.
rich. But the people is still poor. Why we will dividend to them?
The dividend to the Philippine government will build roads, power plants.
Not the government, the population, the people,
And the
normal people.
population with jobs, with the money earned, say it's $1 trillion, the money earned will go into subsidized programs. Some of the money earned will go into subsidized programs like lodging, transportation, scholarships. That goes back to the people, back to the employees.
If you back to the people, become lazy. Everybody doesn't need to work it because they have a lot of wealth.
Well, you don't give money. That's why you subsidize certain
Okay.
things. You don't give money. You subsidize. Example, you're an employee, you got good record, this house is free. You just pay the utilities, example. Your rice is free. Certain subsidies will pay for things like that. So you're not giving money to people to influence them to do things or being negative. You're giving subsidies to them to increase their livelihood.
Yeah, there is a question about that. Brunei Darussalam is a rich country because of these huge natural resources. The Philippines can also be wealthy nation once its vast deuterium resources are explored and extracted. Deuterium and all is
Philippine
different.
rice.
It's different.
Yes.
If Darussalam is 10 million, we have 10 trillion. You
True.
cannot compare.
You can't compare.
Oh, that is giant and dwarf.
Well, another thing too, they are producing this. The Philippines, this is untapped.
Untap,
At its
untouched.
purest amount of purity, it's untapped. So once we tap that, these countries have been working for years and years at this. This is untapped. That untapped resource will be new to the market.
We cannot compare the Philippines because we have a 13 million hectares of LNG, Vietnam rice. The deuterium is, I think, is more than.
Yeah.
So we cannot compare to the Brunei. Brunei has become billionaire. We become quintillion.
Yeah, but 80% of the market, no, not 80% of the market, 60% of the market in Asia is Qatar. Documented.
Brunei, I think, is more than 15 in place or there. They can sell almost less than $1 trillion a year.
And also, when you say deuterium, it determines the purity rate of it. We have determined that the purity rate of deuterium is right around 92 to 94%. Example, Canada has deuterium. Its purity rate is 76%. So they have to produce more water to have a quality product of deuterium oxide compared to the Philippines.
Well, let me clear the benefits of the people. As we in our administration will put dividend to the people, but not the lazy man. No, it's not give chance for them.
No.
Because we'll put on the service free education from kids
Yeah.
until to grow nature
Subsidies, yes.
as we pre hospitalization from minor to ano. So we can become a bonuses to the people who work together. Also, we will put when the government is our hands. So what we need to do, the salary of the normal people, normal employee, become greater than in poor and none. Let's say the starting point now, the school teachers, the police, the military, almost 40,000 a month. We will put it 80,000 or $2,000 a month.
Sure.
Everybody they can enjoy the life because almost free. The electric bill now, if the family, one family paying 3,000 pesos, less than 500. Picture. Right?
Also, this
Almost
process,
70%.
Yeah, this
Reduce.
process, this process is not new because in your Saudi Arabian countries, they are subsidized too with the Royal Saudi Arabian tribe of the oil reserves they get off the gasoline, not the gasoline, but the crude oil that's sold around the world. They get subsidized too. They get royalties too. So this is not something new. It'll be new to the Philippines, but this is not new to the world.
Because first time.
Dubai gets royalties.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
The Qatar government, they are subsidized.
Yes, they're subsidized.
Their what do you call that? Their nationality, because Qatar almost 70% then is foreigners.
Yes.
No, the 30% belong to the Qatari
Good.
government. That's why the Qatari
They're
they receive
subsidized.
more than, I think it's $70,000 to $90,000 a year.
Yeah. So,
The dividend for their wealth.
so in addition to their income,
Yeah.
they are subsidized and they get other royalties too. So this is not new. It's only new in the Philippines because such doesn't exist. But throughout the world, these programs for subsidizing things that is of vast amount, examples, Saudi Arabian oil reserves, the Dubai oil reserves, the employees are subsidized.
Well, if Qatar can do it, do you think the Philippines cannot do it? I think we
Philippines
can
can
do
do
it. The same.
Philippines can do it too.
Yeah.
It's not new.
It's not new.
It's not new. It's just new here in the Philippines to us, but it's not new. LNG is not new in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Malampayan was
Well,
one.
Paya is more than, I think it's 2007, 8
Yeah.
starting.
Yes.
Now it's almost 15 years.
Yeah.
The problem is the dividend of the country is less than 5%.
Yeah. Not well managed.
Well, that's why. But this project is different. When we started, because we are the honest person, we can implement it.
Yes.
Okay, really, for a few moments, just explain is the future is in our hands now as management. We have already reached the investors. Now, your job is to push it. The investor comes in our hands. We have already a few $1 billion. My
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Oh.
This is our time now is our timetable now is the mobilization from our investor to be received. That's one thing. But again, we're talking Philippine rise, LNG. We're talking deuterium, DH2, heavy water, both harmless to the environment, harmless to the people. This investment will speak
The program
volumes
is
on where-
already started. So, what we have to do, get in cash and we start this
We start.
implementation of project.
It's down to, yeah.
We are already in our hands.
It's already
What we have to do
almost
is push it.
Mhm. That's it.
If you cannot do it now, we will regret. So, what we have to do, no regrets. So,
That's true.
what we have to do, courage to implement it,
And manage it properly.
manage properly. It's $1 trillion, my goodness.
True.
Well, the Philippines will become famous rich because of these two projects. You can become a Superman. Right?
Yes.
Well,
The-
last minutes, okay.
Well, it's for the
Thank you.
people. This will end up being for the people and by the people.
Yeah.
It's a Philippine product, by a Filipino product, by a Filipino,
Yeah.
not by a foreigner.
In Tagalog, tangkalikin ang sarili natin, tasa. So, thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much. Hope we can see you next week again. And the Philippines has a hope. The future is our hands. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay?
Ang programang Future Energy maghahatid ng mga kaganapan sa mundo ng siyensya at teknolohiya. Si kasamang Engineer and Dr. BERT HASHIMOTO, author, proponent of the Deuterium Book and Benham Rice, Liquefied Natural Gas Project of the Country, the solution to the climate change or global warming.
Media House Express, home of news and entertainment. Kaagapay sa paghahatid ng mga pangkasalukuyang kaganapan at pagsaserbisyo sa taong bayan.
Media House